You know what's fascinating about religious deception? Studies show that 72% of Americans say they believe in God, yet research indicates nearly half follow teachings that directly contradict their stated beliefs.
That's quite a disconnect. How does something like that even happen?
Well, this ancient letter from Jude gives us some remarkable insights. He was planning to write about salvation, but suddenly changed course because he saw something urgently dangerous happening. False teachers had infiltrated the early church.
Sounds like he spotted a serious threat. What exactly made these teachers so dangerous?
Here's what's fascinating. They weren't obvious frauds. The text uses this phrase, crept in unawares. It's like spiritual carbon monoxide, invisible but deadly. They used all the right vocabulary but completely twisted the meanings.
That reminds me of how social engineering works in cybersecurity. The most dangerous attacks often look completely legitimate.
Exactly. And just like modern scammers, these teachers were incredibly sophisticated. They took established concepts like grace and subtly redefined them. Jude specifically calls out how they turned grace into lasciviousness, basically making it a blank check for whatever behaviour they wanted.
So what's the practical impact of that kind of teaching?
Well, historical records show that some of these early false teachers were actually charging money for spiritual favours, living luxuriously while their followers struggled. Sound familiar? Today we see similar patterns with prosperity gospel teachers worth hundreds of millions.
You know, that brings up something interesting. In the text, those 3 historical examples Jude uses. What's the significance there?
Oh man, this is where it gets really interesting. He references the Israelites who saw actual miracles but still fell away, rebellious angels who had perfect knowledge but chose pride, and Sodom and Gomorrah, each case showing how spiritual corruption leads to destruction.
That's quite a stark warning. But what about this phrase, earnestly contend for the faith?
So in the original Greek, it's an athletic term, like a wrestler straining with every muscle. Studies of ancient athletic competitions show these matches could last hours. Jude is saying, protecting truth requires that level of dedication.
Well, that certainly raises the stakes. How do you think this applies to modern spiritual communities?
Recent surveys show that 64% of regular churchgoers can't identify basic doctrinal positions of their own faith tradition. Jude would say that's exactly the kind of vulnerability that makes false teaching possible.
Those numbers are pretty sobering. What's the solution?
Jude gives us this brilliant 3-part strategy. First, know truth so well you can spot counterfeits instantly, like how bank tellers handle real money for months before studying fakes. Second, actively defend truth, not aggressively, but confidently. Third, stay connected to authentic community.
That's quite different from the passive approach many take today.
You know what's interesting? Research shows that people who regularly discuss their beliefs with others who both agree and disagree tend to develop stronger, more resilient faith than those who only engage with like-minded individuals.
That's a powerful insight for building spiritual discernment.
And here's the hope in Jude's message. While he warns about deception, he ends by emphasizing God's ability to keep us from falling. It's not about developing paranoia. It's about cultivating wisdom.
That feels like a much more sustainable approach to spiritual protection.
Exactly. And in today's world of viral messages and instant information, Jude's ancient warning about testing everything against authentic truth has never been more relevant.